Hey friends, welcome back to the Hooligan Knitter Podcast. As always, I am your host and resident hooligan, Sera, and this is going to be a long episode. So grab yourself something to drink, grab something to knit on, and buckle in, because I haven't filmed a normal podcast episode in like a month, so I've got some stuff. I did recently upload a video with Johanna from Femme Knitted. They came to visit me here in Minnesota, and we both went to the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival together. So we talked a little bit about our experiences there, all the goodies we bought, and our plans. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to go check that out. But as far as like a normal podcast episode, it's been like a month. So I have 8 finished objects. And I decided that we're gonna talk about all of my whips today, because, spoiler alert, I'm down to 5, which is a miracle for me. Typically, it's like a struggle for me to keep it under 10. But I'm at 5 right now with no like pressing urge to cast on anything else. I will, because I have one more gift knit to do, and I want to do some Halloween socks for myself, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about my many finished objects. First off, I'm wearing one of them. This is a sweater I knit for my husband, so it's enormous on me. It's a dress. But I finished his 3rd annual sweater. He only gets one a year because he's enormous. But here it is. I think it turned out pretty well. If you have been here for a little while, you'll know that my original plan was to do the Dear Duomo sweater by Seunghee, which is a lovely bottom-up drop shoulder basic stockinette sweater. But he specifically requested a colorwork sweater for this year. So I took the colorwork chart from the Kerr sweater by Clow and put it on the Duomo, and then I got like halfway through the colorwork chart and I was like, you know what? I'm already modifying the stitch count of the Duomo. I'm knitting it on different needle sizes, at a different gauge, different stitch count. Why don't I just freestyle the entire sweater? Because I feel like that's something I can do. So I did. I closed the Dear Duomo pattern and just did some math in my noggin and freestyled the sweater for my husband. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. I mean, it's a wearable sweater. There are definitely things that I learned along the way. If I ever freestyle a sweater for him again, which I might, I would add some armhole shaping. Obviously the sweater doesn't fit me because it's for a man who is like 6'5". But when he wears it, there's like a good bit of extra fabric around where the shoulder meets the arm. So I think next time I would do a little bit of shaping to kind of counteract that. And then I would also add some short rows in the back, I think, before I split for front and back. I did make the back of the sweater taller than the front of the sweater, so that, you know, the neckline isn't choking him. So the back is, like, it goes up higher than the front. But when he wears it, again, it doesn't fit me, but the back does kind of like ride up a little bit like this. Like, it doesn't lay nice and like flat. So I think that would be the plan for if I freestyle a sweater for him again. But I mean, other than some extra fabric and like it not laying super like straight across at the bottom, it fits him. It's a wearable colorwork sweater. He likes it. He's already worn it a couple of times. I'm gonna call this a win. So yeah, I have the cuffs rolled up because they're obnoxiously long, but I did 2x2 ribbing on the neckline, the cuff, and the hem. And I'm like pretty proud of my neckline pickup. Like, I feel like it looks pretty clean. My hair is not greasy, I just took a shower. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the sweater. I knit this with Lion Brand Pound of Love in the colors Gentry Gray, is that right? Or Oxford Gray. Whatever their like medium gray is. It's either Oxford Gray or Gentry Gray. And then the white is Antique White, which is more of like a creamy white. But I'm calling this a win, and I'm gonna keep wearing it. So that is finished object numero uno. I also cast on and finished, since the last time I recorded, a sweater vest for my mother-in-law. She not so subtly implied that she wanted a sweater vest for Christmas, so that's what she's getting. This is the Goldwyn Folly vest by Thea Colman. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this. I did post a picture of it. But here she is. I'm married into a family of giants, as you can tell. It hasn't been blocked yet, but yeah. This I knit out of more Lion Brand Wool Ease in the color charcoal gray. And then I did do some modifications to the pattern. I knit this at the wrong gauge. Story of my life. Modifications. Focus. I'm out of practice. The collar does call for more of the cable detail that the hem has. I'll show that in a minute, but I decided to just do a regular 2x2 collar. The bottom ribbing has this really neat cable detail where the column of knit stitches in the 2x2 rib, you cable them off to the sides. And I think it just makes like a really nice transition between the ribbing and the stockinette. So there's that. I decided not to do that on the collar. Honestly, I just felt like it looked a little bit strange to do it from like the other way around, like from going from stockinette to ribbing instead of ribbing to stockinette. So I didn't do it there. I am going to add some elastic to the neckline just to kind of keep it nice and cinched in. And knit the body to 17 inches. And then, the pattern calls for you to seam the shoulders together. I'm not about that life. So I just did a 3 needle bind off, and I don't know what the hell happened, but my 3 needle bind off looks terrible. But whatever, we're thinking of it as a design element. But both shoulders are equally bad, so it's fine. I think that's all I've got to say about this one. She just needs a good wash and block and some elastic to the neckline. And then I'm just gonna fold her up and wait for Christmas to give this to my mother-in-law. All right. 2. I also finished a pair of socks since last time. To be fair, they are Aran weight socks, but okay, full disclosure, I have been wearing these like every day since I finished them, so they don't look nice anymore. But I finished a pair of socks out of some Léttlopi. Do I still have the ball band? I don't think I do. But it's just like a medium gray color of Léttlopi, which is 100% Icelandic wool. Super scratchy, super rustic, delightful. And what I did with these was hooliganized the Hibernal sock pattern by Summerlee. Are they by Summerlee? I think they're by Summerlee. That pattern is for either fingering or DK weight socks, knit cuff down. I don't do that. I will if I have to, but I don't want to. So I modified the stitch count. No, I didn't. I just knit like a super small size of the DK to get to a stitch count I figured would work. And I knit these toe up. I wasn't sure if the faux cables would look okay with this like fuzzy of a yarn, but I think it looks nice. Now, granted, these are super pilly and starting to felt because I've been wearing them genuinely like every day since I finished them. Maybe I'll show the leg and not the foot because the leg is more presentable. But yeah, these have some columns of faux cables. Never done faux cables before, but this was super easy. Just a 4-row repeat that was super quick and easy to memorize. I could definitely see myself knitting more pairs of Léttlopi socks because I love these. I mean, they look horrendous already because I've been wearing them so much. They're full of pills. And the heel is like starting to felt a little bit. You gotta see. But they are so cozy, they're so comfortable, and I just really love them. So I will definitely be making more Léttlopi socks in the future. My mom has actually requested a purple pair, so she is gonna get those at some point. I don't know, not in the near future. Yeah. I knit these on a US 5 3.75 millimeter needle. Again, this is an Aran weight sock yarn, so they're pretty densely knit. I did that on purpose because there's no nylon in these. It is just non-superwash Icelandic wool. So I wanted to make sure that I was knitting them pretty tightly to hopefully improve the durability. However, when I bought the yarn, the lovely lady working at the yarn store told me that she also knit herself a pair of Icelandic socks years ago. Very similar to Léttlopi. She said it wasn't Léttlopi, but it was another like single ply Icelandic yarn. And she said they're holding up pretty well. So I have hope that these will last a while. I mean, yeah, they are pilling a little bit, but it doesn't seem like they're getting threadbare anywhere. I'm totally fine with them felting. I knit them a little bit larger lengthwise to kind of accommodate for the felting. I knew what happened, but yeah, I like have nothing but good things to say about this. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend Léttlopi socks if you don't live in a really hot place. Sorry, Johanna. Okay, I've also finished 3 hats since we last spoke. I guess we'll start with the hat that was already on the needles. This has been washed and blocked. This is the Seronda hat by someone. I'll put it in the description box below. But I knit this out of the fiber company Lore in the color Gentle. And it's a really pretty all over cabled hat. Has a couple of different types of cables. That's a pretty accurate color depiction. So yeah, this is done. This is another gift knit. It's not for me, it's for my sister-in-law. that's done. Did I make any modifications to the pattern? Yes, because originally I was planning to knit 2 hats out of the 100 grams that I had. So I made some modifications. Only one. The pattern calls for a brim twice as long that you then fold up for like a double layer of wool over your ears. I wasn't so sure I was going to be able to do that with the amount of yarn that I had, because like I said, I was planning to knit 2 hats. So I decided to just do the one brim, like the one layer. Anything else to say about this pattern? I don't think so. I really enjoyed knitting this. I love a good cabled hat. I think they're so classic looking. So yeah, I would totally knit this hat again. The instructions were very easy to follow. I think the end result looks great, and I hope my sister-in-law loves it. The next hat that I finished. So this is another hat knit out of the Fiber Company lore, same colorway. Originally the game plan was to knit matching cabled hats for my niece, my 3-year-old niece, and my sister-in-law. Then I realized this yarn is probably too scratchy for a 3-year-old. So I knit another hat, and I hooliganized another pattern. So technically I knit a headband and then picked up along the garter edge of the headband and knit a hat on top of it. And it worked. This is the, I think it's pronounced Hiedra because it's Spanish, headband by Fiber Tales, this part. And it has these really nice braids, some cables, and then some garter edging at the top and the bottom. Really beautiful. And then I realized I still had a bunch of yarn left, so I picked up all of these stitches and just knit like a basic hat on top of it. And I think it turned out pretty cute. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. This is another gift knit. I know who it's going to, so I'm parting with it, but I'm really proud of it. I'm not gonna put it on because my hair is still soaking wet, but I don't know, I just look at this hat and I'm just like, I have a lot of pride. But yeah, nothing else to say about this one. It's a hat. And then the last hat that I finished in the last month is yet another essential beanie. I knit this out of Lion Brand. Is it Lion Brand? No, I have another ball of it. Patons, classic wool worsted in the color Aran. Just a nice white yarn. Here it is. Here she is. Do you love her? She's a hat. This is for one of our employees. He mentioned to my husband and I own a business, and he mentioned to my husband a couple weeks ago that he is a big fan of wool and like knits. So obviously Hunter was like, huh, my wife knits. So I had to knit him a hat. I didn't have to, but I felt inclined to knit him a hat. So this is for him. I hope he loves it. This is a very densely knit hat. The Essential Beanie pattern asks you to knit these hats really tightly. This is a worsted weight yarn, and the pattern calls for the worsted weight version of the hat to be knit on 3.75 millimeter needles, US 5. So she's squishy, which means she'll be very warm. But yeah, she's very dense, very squishy. She'll be very warm and hopefully going to a good home. I will tell him that this needs to be hand washed, laid flat to dry, because this is non-superwash. I knit the adult extra large version. And then the pattern very kindly gives you the number of grams you should like knit to if you want to use all of your yarn. So I knit until I had, I think, 16 grams of yarn left, which is a couple more grams in the pattern, like tells you to knit to, but I don't like playing yarn chicken, so I keep myself a little bit of a buffer. Yeah. She's a hat, very dense, heavy hat. So this will be going to its new home next week. Okay. We're getting there. I also knit a balaclava for my niece. I've never knit a balaclava before. So I spent some time on Ravelry looking for a pattern that I liked, because I've noticed a lot of balaclava patterns don't cover the forehead. Like they sit like up here and they just like leave your face open like an egg. But I want it to be warm and come kind of like closer over the forehead. So I found a pattern that seems like it does that in the pattern pictures. I have forgotten the name of the pattern, but to be so for real with you, I did not follow the pattern other than the initial cast on stitch count, because it turns out knitting a balaclava is just doing a giant short row heel on a sock. I can do those in my sleep. So once I realized that I was just knitting a heel, I completely disregarded the pattern. I will leave the pattern name in the description if you're curious. I don't remember what it's called or who it's by, but here she is. This is for a 3-year-old, so she is fuchsia. This was knit in Malabrigo Rios in the color fuchsia. Yeah, so we've got some nice ribbing to frame the face, and then the head part, obviously. And then I really like how the ribbing that goes around the face flows right into the like neck ribbing. I thought that was a nice touch. And then after I did that for a little while, I did remember that the pattern called for you to double the amount of stitches to make like a wider part that kind of sits across your shoulders. So I did do that. And here she is. I also knit this on a US 5 3.75 millimeter worsted weight yarn. So she's thick, she's garter and ribbing, so she is squishy, and I hope it fits my niece. I did not gauge swatch because it's a balaclava. But I did knit a size 4 to 5 years. She's only 3, but I don't know. I didn't want it to be too small. I'd rather it be too big. But yeah, she's so cute. I definitely see more balaclavas in my future because this was much easier than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know, I just think they're really adorable. So there she is. Okay. Last finished object, and then we will move on. I did it. I finished it. I finished my red triangular garter stitch shawl. And she's huge. So, I did it. We did it. I knit this out of something. It's a Scottish yarn. It's lamb's wool, and the color is scarlet. And the yarn company is, I want to say the Fiber Company, but I know that's not it. I'll put it in the description. I'm so sick of looking at this scarf. But yeah, she's done. And she's big and cozy. And she's gonna be great to have this winter. And yeah, there she is. And she's still got lots of length here, so thank God that's done, huh? All right, let's talk about my whips. Like I said, we are down to 5. Not all of these have been actively worked on since being shown, but I figured we only have 5 whips. Let's show them all. Let's catch the people up to what is currently on my needles. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the one I've been working on the most. This is living in my Sun Valley Fibers project bag. I have pulled out my lime green season sweater again. And we're making progress. So I don't remember where she was the last time I showed it. But at this point we have the raglan done and both sleeves. Oh my God, this color is so good. So both sleeves are done. And now we're just working on the body. I've only done maybe an inch, less than an inch, like half an inch on the body since I put the body back on the needles. I'm gonna move the stitch marker so that next time I show this we can see how much progress I've made. But we are making progress. This yarn is terrible. I found this yarn at a thrift store. It's like vintage acrylic yarn. She is scratchy. She is like, it feels terrible. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's horrendous. But I can't get over the color. And I think the texture in this color looks so good. I mean, she is truly like a lime green, like truly like Brad green. My goal is to have her finished by the end of the year. It is currently September 21st. So like we have like over 3 months to finish this. But I need to make sure that I'm actually working on it so I don't wake up on December 15th and go, oh shit. So she is gonna stay in the whip rotation until she is done. We're gonna do it. Okay. That is whip number 1. That's really the only whip that I've been like actively working on because clearly I've finished a lot of other things. But let's see, what else have we got? This is living in a Rosati's bag. Authentic Chicago pizza. Anyway, this is my Emory Pullover by Hohi Locatelli. I don't think I've worked on this since I showed it last, maybe done a couple of rows. But this is an all over cabled sweater pattern. Tuck in my ends so it's like presentable. I've done both the front panel and the back panel. I'm working on the body now. We're in the round. Is this the front or the back? I'll probably figure that out, huh? Yeah, this is the front. But it has these delicious cables all over front and back. Yeah, it's gonna fit. Johanna has confirmed that they do believe it will fit me. So my haters can back off. I do really, really want this sweater. It's just not in the current rotation because I am not enjoying working on the green sweater, but I'm more determined to finish the green sweater. But I think once the green sweater is done, this is going back in rotation, like immediately, because I still love this sweater so much. And it's so squishy. I'm knitting this out of Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool in the color Brown Heather. I have a skein. Brown Heather. I'm good at this. I did at one point have 3 skeins of this yarn. Since moving, that 3rd skein is gone. It is lost to the ether. Does not exist. So I am going to have to get another skein of it at some point, which is annoying. But I'm hoping I can finish the body in this, and I have another full skein. And then if I get the 3rd skein again and it's a different dye lot, at least it'll just be the sleeves. I think I can live with that. And the collar, but no, actually, once I finish this ball of yarn, I'm gonna pick up for the collar, but anyway. I really, really love this sweater, and I'm not letting myself work on it because I know that if I let myself work on this sweater, I'm not gonna put it down, and I need to finish that god-awful green sweater. It's been on my needles for way too long, but this is what my heart wants to work on. All right, we're moving on. Two whips. This is something I have not touched in a very long time. I am working on a Bookshop Cardigan by Hook Mountain Handmade. I have not touched this in months. It is not on the priority list. It should be because it's a cardigan and we're coming into fall, but it's just not what I want to work on right now. But I mean, I'm several inches into the body, so it's really soft. I like the fabric that I'm getting. I'm knitting this on, what is this? US 8, which is a 5mm needle. And I think I might just, hi.
Hi.
I'm filming. Want to say hi to the people?
Edit this out.
No, I don't edit.
Edit.
I'm thinking I might omit the button band because I've knit this pattern before, and the button band really just pulls the whole garment like in on itself, and I ripped out that button band and reknit it at least 3 times, and I don't think it looks good. It's still pulling in, and so I think I might just leave this edge raw. I don't know. If you have thoughts, opinions, feelings, let me know. But yeah. What am I knitting this out of? This is Loops and Threads. Heathered tweed in the color. What color is this? Charcoal. I really like this yarn. I knit a long sleeve Tulsa out of it. Was it last year? I'm gonna sneeze. I knit a long sleeve Tulsa out of it last year. And I really do love that sweater. I have learned that it should probably not go in the washing machine. And it says that on the label, but I figured it's like a primarily acrylic yarn. I'm gonna put it in the washer. Don't do that. Because that sweater has like, is it really felting if it's only 4% wool? But it's shrunk. It still fits. I still wear it pretty frequently. but it's no longer like the oversized sweater that it was. But yeah, this yarn is 66% polyester, 30% acrylic, 4% wool. So it's kind of a fluffy yarn, so I think this cardigan is going to be very cozy. Yeah, this will go back into rotation at some point. My priorities right now are green sweater and then the cabled sweater. So this probably will not get picked up again until next year. But that's okay. She'll get finished when she gets finished. Oh, I suppose I should show you what I'm holding it in. This is a bag from Earthbound Trading Company that I've had for like a good 10 years. She is stained, she's been battered, but I really love this bag. She's gotten so soft over time. Yeah, I love a good canvas tote bag. Then this is another one that hasn't been picked up in a while. This is my Tula Tank. And here's the dealio with the Tula Tank. Oh my god, there's needles everywhere. This is where all my shorty cables are. Jesus. Okay, so Tula Tank. I'm knitting this out of Lion Brand Trubu in this like bluish gray color. I have always really struggled to get gauge with Rebecca's patterns. I don't know, I do know. I'm a really tight knitter and I think she's a really loose knitter. So I wanted to knit the DK version of this pattern with this Trubu, which is a DK. However, I just could not get a fabric that I liked at the gauge that she was recommending. So I'm following the fingering weight pattern with a DK weight yarn, and I'm getting still a really nice drapey fabric. However, that means I'm using a lot more yarn than I anticipated, and this is going to be a heavy garment. Still going to be very nice and breathable and cool to wear in the summer, but it's taking longer than anticipated because there's like a million stitches on the needle. And also I'm gonna have to get more yarn because I'm knitting it at a different gauge. But that's okay. It'll be worth it. I think this is going to be a really lovely tank. Oh, I'm doing the vest version. This pattern comes as a vest, a like square neck tank, and a camisole. I'm doing the vest version, which is like a very typical like tank top fit. Yeah, this will get done at some point. This is not in the current whip rotation. I have no desire to work on this right now. But she'll get there when she gets there. There's that. And this one is living in another canvas tote bag, my ball sack. Ball sack. Okay, we have one more whip. And then we're gonna wrap this up because it's already been like 40 minutes. Stay hydrated. Okay, last whip is another ripple camisole that I am abusing. Actually, no, it's a ripple bralette that I'm abusing and turning into a camisole. Knitting this out of more, is this more loops and threads? I think so, yeah. Yeah, loops and threads, facets, just an acrylic yarn. Color Flame, and it's this really fun orange and yellow self-striping. And I think this will be a really fun fall layering piece. If I ever get my shit together and start working on it again. The Ripple Bralette is meant for fingering. This is like a single ply worsted. So I am doing a different size. I don't remember what size, but yeah. I mean, it's all over 3x3 ribs, so I feel like you can be a little more fast and loose with the gauge and the pattern and the sizing. But yeah. This one I actually might put back into whip rotation because I really would like to have it for this fall. And I know that it won't take me very long to knit. I mean, it's a worsted weight camisole. Like, there's no reason it should take me very long. But again, I know that if I pick this up, I'm not going to touch that stupid green sweater. So realistically, I should not be working on anything else garment-wise until that sweater is done. But maybe I can allow myself to work on 2 garments. Yeah, this is gonna go back into rotation. There's just something about an all-over ribbed project. And I do really want this for this fall. So, okay, we're putting that back down. And this is living in my gay axolotl bag. And it has an axolotl on the top. Okay, those are all of my whips. All of my recently finished objects, all of my whips. We did it. It's only been 42 minutes. I do have one acquisition that I would like to show. And then I will shut up and let you go about your day. So, hydration break. I would like to preface this by saying I am not pregnant. I have no intentions to be pregnant for a while. But my friend Sophie and I were walking around downtown a couple of weeks ago and doing some thrifting, some antiquing, having a grand old time. And in one of these stores, I saw a hand knit balaclava that had just ended up in this antique store. And it made me so, like, disproportionately sad to think about, you know, someone had spent all this time hand knitting this lovely balaclava for a baby and their family. And it just got tossed to an antique store, or like a pretty thrifty antique store. And it made me so sad. So I decided that it had to come home with me. It's so cute, and it has these little buttons. Wow, the lighting is not gonna work anymore. But it has these little buttons. It's very soft. I don't know the pattern, obviously. I'm gonna say this is an acrylic yarn, but it is a very soft acrylic yarn. Definitely handmade. I mean, you can see the seaming there. Yeah. But I do, you know, intend to spawn someday, and I had to bring this home with me, you guys. There was simply no other option. It's so cute. And my future spawn will be wearing it. This garment, or this balaclava, will be getting another chance. There was another one there. There were 2 of these bad boys, but I tried so hard to not cross fully over the threshold into insanity. So I only bought 1 baby balaclava for a baby that doesn't exist. But it's so cute. Am I insane? Yeah, probably. Don't answer that, actually. But that's my one acquisition that I wanted to share with the people. All right, that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my 8 FOs and 5 whips and 1 insane acquisition. What are you working on? What have you finished recently? Tell me all about it. How many whips do you have? Tell me. I'm nosy. We all know this. But I will be back in a couple of weeks. It will not be another month. September was just a really busy month. We had people staying with us like every weekend, which has been really fun. It's been so nice to see everyone. But this weekend we have the house to ourselves, and it's nice. Next weekend we are going to a wedding in Milwaukee. So, but then I think October we should be like mellowed out. Anyway, I'll stop yapping. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Bye.